Am I the kind of asshole who would grow this 5 o'clock shadow for a week and dress up like this just for the intro and thumbnail of his video? Nope, not at all. So I'm gonna wear this for the entire video. Why? It's very simple, because I'm a fan. Metal Gear Solid 3. Snake Eater! Songs in the game, just being legit. I look like Al-Qaeda. That's right, try to look like the epitome of Cold War America, end up looking like Al-Qaeda. Sorry, America. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater takes place in 1964 during the Cold War, and you play as Snake. That's right, it's a different Snake. It's not Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Solid 2. Then you realize, you're like, wait a minute. Do I play as Big Boss in his prime? And you do. This is the origin story of not just Metal Gear, but Big Boss. He's already a badass soldier, but he doesn't even have the eye patch yet. You see how he loses his eye, how he gets the title Big Boss. This is it, my friends. This is the genesis. So Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, it's actually a couple missions wrapped up in one. The first mission you go on is called the Virtuous Mission. So at the very beginning of the game, it's the intro, kind of like the tanker scene in Metal Gear Solid 2. You gotta go get this scientist who's working on something for the Russians. Cold War, so of course it's gonna be America and Russia. But then come to find out, and this isn't really a spoiler because it's in the intro of the game, the very first prelude mission. This is every bit as much of a spoiler as saying that the tanker sinks in Metal Gear Solid 2 is a spoiler. It's not really a spoiler. Your mentor, known as the Boss, a hero of World War II, has defected to the Soviet Union. She kicks your ass, she goes off with the bad guys, and you get this James Bondish intro all like, Snake Eater! Then you go back in Operation Snake Eater, in which your mission is to eliminate the boss. And it's not just like, oh, she defected, gotta take her out. There are logistics involved in it, you know, those espionage type things in which the Soviet Union also wants you to do it. So one of the things I love about this game, it's a very involved plot taking place in the Cold War, so that's always cool. So we're gonna jump right into the gameplay of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. The gameplay, quite frankly, is just the perfect Metal Gear Solid gameplay. It's like all those advances that they had in Metal Gear Solid 2 still had some flaws in it, flaws that I addressed in my review of Metal Gear Solid 2, but in Snake Eater they were like, alright, let's just iron out all the bugs, perfect it. All the advances we made from Metal Gear Solid 1 to 2 are now perfected in 2 to 3. First of all, there's no Soliton radar system. You know that little radar on the top right of the screen that shows where the enemies are and where their field of vision is? It's pretty much like a cheat sheet. You end up looking at that thing and playing from the radar more than you're actually paying attention to the game. Yeah, that's not in this game. Ultimately, I took it as because the tech doesn't even exist yet. So you get no radar system. That's otherwise known as hard mode on every other Metal Gear Solid game up to Snake Eater. And I loved that. At first, it was culture shock. I was like, what the hell? Yeah, you get this little sonar thing that you click. It's all ping, and then people hear it and they'll come and kick your ass. But the game proves that people are very adaptable. You adapt so well to there not being a radar system, you end up peeking around corners. You end up being more careful in Snake Eater. You know, like it's a real mission and shit. All you need are these. Or this. And if you remember my gripe about Metal Gear Solid 2 is that when you get seen, the game's over. They're just gonna kick your ass and kill you. Metal Gear Solid 3, that is ironed out really well. It focuses heavily on camouflage. It shows in the corner of your screen how well you blend into your surroundings. You constantly have to change your camouflage in your face paint. So if you get seen, you can hide in the shrubs. There are a lot of places to hide. You can climb up into trees. It's easier to evade your enemies. That, and if you want to fight them off, you can fight them off. How often was I seen that I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna take everyone out. And I ended up wasting everyone. There were no more reinforcements. I like that. I felt like if you got seen, it wasn't instantly game over because you're gonna die. I love me some solid gameplay. Metal Gear Solid 3 has some solid gameplay. And you now have the option to like slice someone's neck with your knife. Morbid, but let me tell you, you do it a lot. And the double meaning of Snake Eater is that you eat snakes, among other animals. It's not just like, in the other Metal Gear Solid games, it was a ration system. It's like, oh, I'm low on life. Rations fill up my life. In Snake Eater, it's more of a stamina-based system. You have stamina. Your stamina drains. If you get your ass kicked or just over time, you know, you're running around, your stamina's draining. You need to find snakes, rabbits, birds, animals, goats, whatever, kill them, eat them to refill your stamina. Your stamina will refill your life. I thought that was really cool. It was innovative. I loved that a lot more than the ration system. It's just more involved. That and the game clocks itself, so if you save the game, put it down for a couple of days, come back, you look at all your food, your animals have gone rotten. It's dead meat. It doesn't last too long, so you gotta toss it and find new animals. I thought that was cool too. And a lot of advancements in this game. There is a first aid system. If you start getting shot and sliced up, you'll notice your stamina is just dropping really fast. You need to go into your first aid system, dig the bullets out with your knife, bandage yourself up. You need to heal yourself in Snake Eater. When games try to pull that off, it's either really annoying or really involved and cool. I thought it was involved involved and cool. I like the system. I like the overall system in Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Every advancement they made in this game I felt was perfection. This is arguably my favorite chapter in the Metal Gear Solid series. Why? Because not only is the gameplay fantastic, but the story is so good. I mean, your mentor's defected to the Soviet Union, you have to kill her? But it's not that simple. It's not like, oh, you're a traitor to the USA. There are logistics involved. Snake is really attached to this chick. It's not just like a lover thing. In fact, they were never like that. They're combat buddies. They developed CQC, which is the close quarter combat system you use in the game. They developed it together. You can tell they're really tight. Now he has to kill her? He's not going to be able to do that shit. And it deals with perspective of villains and heroes. And the whole theme of Metal Gear Solid is that there are no heroes. There are just people who are normal people who get exaggerations about them, who get stories told about them. But in the end, they're just human beings. The boss in this game tells Snake, she's like, things change, power shifts. Today's enemy could be tomorrow's hero or vice versa. I mean, as a soldier, 10 years from now, you're going to be fighting for a different cause because new people will be in power who will have their agenda and you'll have to fight for them. And when she's giving these speeches, you're like, huh. I don't think Big Boss is the bad guy we've been led to believe all these years. It looks like Kojima's telling more of Big Boss's story now in the current game, so I'm interested to see where that shit goes. All I can say is Metal Gear Solid 3 gets you intrigued for it. And of course, it taking place in 1964, you're gonna see some of the older characters in the other Metal Gear Solid games who are in their prime, in their youth. Namely, arguably the coolest character in the series, Ocelot. And he's a complete wild card in this story. I mean, in the other Metal Gear Solid games, he's a guy with a plan, you know? He knows what he's doing. In Snake Eater, he is a young dude with an ego. He's like if Jim Kirk used revolvers. Big Boss, or Snake rather, humiliates the shit out of him, so he has a grudge against Snake. He wants to kill him. He wants to be the one to kill him. But you can tell throughout the game, he starts respecting Snake as a soldier. It's really good. I like it when characters from opposing sides can respect each other in stories. And Snake Eater does explain the Ocelot liquid arm thing from Metal Gear Solid 2. You know how he has Liquid Snake's arm in Metal Gear Solid 2 and he gets possessed by Liquid Snake and you're like, that's strange. In this game, and I don't think it's a spoiler because the game never actually comes out and tells you this, you kind of have to piece things together, and Hideo Kojima ended up saying, yeah, that's how it is. But it's all about Ocelot's father. Ocelot's father is a guy named the Sorrow. The Sorrow can commune with the dead. Ocelot, being his son, has that recessive gene. So when he got Liquid Snake's arm, Liquid Snake possesses him. He's like, what the hell? In the world of Metal Gear Solid, I like the fact that they did explain that. It made sense. And of course, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater has that boss fight where I was like, that is one of the coolest boss fights in the entire series. And that is a guy named The End. Yeah, all the bosses in this game, they're all freaks, and this game was actually the one that made me go, the bosses in 2 aren't that crazy. The End is this old dude, he's a sniper, and you need to get into a sniper fight, so you have to hunt this guy down among 3 zones in the game. It doesn't show up on thermal goggles, although his footprints do, and you can cheat if you want to do that, but it's really fun to not use the thermal goggles. You just gotta find this dude and snipe him down. And not only that, there are ways to kill him in which you don't even have to fight him. When you first see him before he gets wheeled in his little wheelchair back inside, you can shoot him like either in the head or blow up this barrel. The point is, you can kill him. Hours upon hours of gameplay before the fight even happens. When you first meet The End, he's dead. I thought that was cool, and the dude is so old that if you get to the end and then put down the game for like 7 days or something like that, just like when your rations go bad, you come back, The End has now died of old age. Simple way to kill him. I don't suggest doing that because the sniper fight is so fun. I wouldn't want anyone to rob themselves of the experience of playing and fighting The End. I gotta say, that was one cool fight. Just trying to find this guy. You have a little directional mic. You can hear him breathe. You can see the twinkle of his sniper scope in the distance. Of course, it's one of those things where you're like, oh, there he is. And he's like, yeah, I saw you first, and shoots you. But that boss fight, man, that's some legit shit. There is a scene in the game that, I mean, as much as it is a torture scene, or at least an ass kicking, is one of my favorite scenes in games. There's a scene where Snake is just getting his ass kicked. I'm not just talking kicked. The bad guy Vulcan is really just going to town, just beating the shit out of him. But this is Big Boss. He's like the greatest soldier ever. So seeing him so humanized, it's just, you can't help but be like, this is a great scene. It's just such a relevant character moment that you gotta give your hat off to this game for it. I will say it does get annoying where you're like, okay, this is the end of the game right here. You're fighting the boss and that's not the end. You gotta go a little bit and then fight another thing. You're like, all right, well, this is the end of the game, right? Nope, that's not the end. Now you gotta do this. You've beaten the entire game, but you haven't beaten the game because now you gotta haul this wounded person around. And then you get to the end and you're like, this is the end. Nope, one more boss fight. I mean, I'm telling you, from the time you think, all right, this is the last boss fight to when you actually beat the game is like 3 hours of gameplay. It ends like 4 times. It's like Bad Boys 2, but a lot better than Bad Boys 2. Not that Bad Boys 2 is terrible, but Metal Gear Solid is just a lot better than Bad Boys 2. The only thing I would really change about the game is nothing I would change about the game. It's actually the Vita version of the game. Of course, you touch the back of the Vita and it makes Snake lunge his knife, and it's annoying as hell because your fingers rest there. Sony reps or anyone who's involved with PS Vita technology, if you're watching this, please come out with a patch in which you can just shut off the touch panel on the back of the PS Vita, because it gets annoying as hell. So not only is Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater arguably the best Metal Gear Solid in the Metal Gear Solid series, but it is a great game, one of my favorite games of all time, and it is up there in cinematic quality with any Cold War spy epic you've seen. And I'm telling you, the ending, straight up man tears. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater deals with honor, betrayal, loyalty, where things lie, where the gray areas are. If you don't at least want to cry at the end of this game, I don't even know what to say. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater is awesometacular. I'd say pick up the Metal Gear Solid HD collection for Snake Eater alone. You will get your money's worth out of it. And in searching for the Metal Gear Solid theme, I found this one chick. There's actually a couple chicks on YouTube who play video game music with violins. She plays the Metal Gear Solid theme. It's ultimately the Metal Gear Solid 2 theme, but I don't even care. I put a link below, listen to it. It's great. It is beautiful. So hey, check it out. Enjoy the shit out of it. And play Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Enjoy the shit out of that. And of course, I'm gonna do Metal Gear Solid 4, and it might be after Resident Evil 6, so it might be a week or two out, but I will get that to you. So many games, so little time. So your favorite Cold War spy epic game, book, movie, whatever. What is it? Comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.